Hi, everyone. Gilliam Elliott here. You know, when most people hear the term medical tourism, they usually think about patients flying to another country for treatment. But what many people don't realize is that in many parts of the world, patients travel within their own country for treatment just as often, and sometimes even more frequently than traveling internationally. In fact, domestic medical tourism is a major part of how healthcare systems operate in many countries. Today, we're going to talk about 5 countries where domestic medical tourism is very common and why patients travel within their own country for medical care. But before we dive in, take a moment to like the video and subscribe to the channel to learn more about the world of medical tourism. You know, one of the biggest misconceptions about medical tourism is that it always involves international travel. But the reality is that medical tourism happens in 3 different ways. You have outbound medical tourism where patients travel to another country for treatment. You have inbound medical tourism where hospitals attract patients from outside their country. And then you have domestic medical tourism, which happens when patients travel within their own country to receive medical care. At its core, domestic medical tourism simply means patients traveling outside of their local area for treatment. Sometimes that means traveling to another city, sometimes that means traveling to another state, and sometimes that means traveling across the country. But the reason is usually the same. Patients are looking for better hospitals, specialized doctors, or shorter waiting times. And in many countries, the best medical centers are concentrated in only a few major cities. And that naturally leads to patients traveling. Now let's look at 5 countries where domestic medical tourism is very common. The first country is the United States. The United States has one of the most developed domestic medical travel markets in the world. Patients often travel between states or regions because many of the most experienced surgeons and doctors work in large medical centers located in major cities. For example, this happens often when patients live in rural areas. They frequently travel to large hospital systems in major cities. This also happens when people are from smaller states. They'll travel to another state that has hospitals known for specific procedures. Some major domestic medical tourism hubs in the United States include cities such as Houston, Cleveland, Rochester in Minnesota, and Boston. These cities are home to hospitals that attract patients from across the country because of their reputation for specialized care. The second country is India. India has one of the largest domestic medical tourism markets anywhere in the world. Patients often travel from smaller towns and rural regions to large hospital clusters located in major metropolitan areas. 2 of the largest domestic medical travel hubs are Delhi and Mumbai. These cities have major hospitals with advanced technology and highly specialized physicians. For many patients, traveling to these cities provide access to treatment that may not be available in smaller regions. The third country is China. China has significant internal patient mobility because many of the country's top hospitals are located in major cities. Patients frequently travel from smaller regions to major medical centers in Beijing and Shanghai. These hospitals attract patients from across the country because they offer specialized treatments and experienced medical teams. In well-run healthcare systems, complex procedures are often centralized in major hospitals, and that naturally leads to domestic medical travel. The fourth country is Brazil. Just like the other countries on this list, Brazil is set up where the specialized hospitals and surgeons mostly are concentrated in the major metropolitan areas. Because of this, patients often travel to cities like Sao Paulo and Rio de Janeiro, where many of Brazil's leading hospitals and specialists are located. As a result, they attract patients from across Brazil who are seeking a high level of care. The fifth country is Mexico. In Mexico, the trend continues. Domestic medical tourism is common in Mexico because many of the country's advanced hospitals are located in a few large cities. A lot of domestic medical tourists in Mexico travel from smaller states, and they often travel to places like Mexico City, Guadalajara, and Monterrey for complex medical procedures. These cities have large healthcare systems and specialists who perform high volumes of advanced surgeries. And when patients need those procedures, traveling to these cities often provides access to better infrastructure and more experienced physicians. So what's the key takeaway from all of this? The takeaway is that in many countries, domestic medical tourism is just as common as international medical tourism. And the reason is fairly simple. Specialized hospitals are concentrated in certain cities, healthcare quality can vary from region to region, and experienced surgeons often practice in major medical centers. So patients travel. They travel for specialized care, they travel for experienced doctors, and they travel for better outcomes. At the end of the day, medical tourism isn't only about crossing international borders. It's about traveling to the right place for the right treatment. And in many cases, that place still may be within the patient's own country. If you're interested in learning more about how the medical tourism industry works and how facilitators operate within this space, we've created a certification program that walks you step by step through the process of starting and growing a medical tourism company. You can learn more by visiting the links in the description below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.